Hi there, hope you're doing fantastic. Today we're going to be diving into why the stock plugin debate is stupid. Hi, my name is Tyson. I'm a mastering engineer here at Dinosaur Dog Mastering, and we're going to be talking about stock plugins versus premium plugins and why this whole debate is just nonsense. Before I dive into that though, I want to let you know I have the ultimate mixing checklist available for download. Pick that up in the description of the video. The first link will bring you to a page where you can download that. This is the same guide I use in all of my mixes to get better and faster mixes. It is awesome. It's a super quick just checklist that you can make sure that you're hitting all the steps that you need to get a pro mix. Okay, with that said, now let's dive into the content of today of why the mixing stock plugin debate is completely stupid. I have three main points for you, and so it should be pretty easy to follow along. First of all, every single DAW has stock plugins. Every single DAW's stock plugins are different. Logic has some stock plugins, Pro Tools has some stock plugins, Studio One has some plugins. They're all different plugins though. They each have their own version of a digital EQ. They all have their own version of an emulation of, whatever EQ you want to think of. They all have console type EQs, etc. It doesn't matter which one you use, but they're all different. I could come here and say, you don't need any premium plugins to mix, and that's completely true. However, that could be different based on which DAW you are using. Some DAWs probably have very limited stock plugins, and so therefore you may actually be limited in your use of being able to get a pro level mix if you don't have certain tools at your disposal. However, I am not championing the fact that you need premium plugins either. I don't think you should have very many plugins. Which brings me to my second point of, regardless of how many plugins you have, you will likely only use 1 to 10% of the plugins you own. Even if you don't have that many, you will still reach for the same plugins 99% of the time. So when I have a drum bus, for example, I'm almost always going to use the same bus compressor on that drum bus. It doesn't matter if I have access to 12 different compressors. If anything, if I have access to 12 compressors, I'm always going to use the same one, and I'm not going to A/B all 12 compressors. Maybe if I might see what each one sounds like before choosing one. However, having more does not mean you use more. No matter who you are, you only use 10% or less of your plugins. Another reason why this is actually a good thing that you're only using 10% of your plugins is because you want to be able to learn deeply, not wide. And what I mean by this is you want to learn the plugins you have really, really well and how to use those plugins really, really well. If you decide to go wide and just try to use a different plugin on every single mix just because you can, you're not going to learn each of those plugins very well, and so you're probably not using it to its optimal potential, and therefore your mix is suffering because you're switching out all these different tools every single time you're mixing. It's way better to just learn a very limited amount of tools really well, and you're going to end up with much better results from the end. Whether those are stock plugins or premium plugins, it doesn't matter. The more deeply you understand those tools and how to use them, the better your mix is going to end up in the end. When I first started mixing, I didn't use any premium plugins. I didn't even know premium plugins were a thing, to be honest. But once I figured out what premium plugins were, I actually only bought from one company. I would highly recommend anyone who's just getting into mixing and you're reaching that point where you really feel like you want some premium plugins, buy one company's plugins. That's it. And the reason being is that, again, we're going deep with a single company or a single suite of plugins, so we can learn those tools really well, and likely that's all that you'll need to produce a pro level mix. If you truly do need something else, you can then cherry pick from another company if the one that you purchased plugins from doesn't have that particular plugin that you need or feel like you need or want. It's a better, more economical model so that you buy all these plugins from one company, whether it's a subscription like Slate Digital or just a one-off purchase from Waves. Not only is it less headache to actually update those plugins over time, but again, you can cherry pick the ones you actually do need from other companies, and you'll learn the ones you do have really deeply. Last point, my third point in this whole debate is you only need one of each type of plugin. For example, I have a Pultec EQ inside of Logic. I don't need another Pultec style EQ. Even assuming that a premium version of the Pultec is better, that doesn't mean I'm gonna end up with better results. Let's say that the Waves version of the Pultec is 2% better than the Logic version. Does that mean my mix is gonna be better in the end because of it? If I use that Pultec on my kick drum, say, versus the Waves version of the Pultec on my kick drum, is anybody going to really think that my song is better because I used a premium version of a plugin on my kick drum? That's one track of, say, 45 tracks inside of that entire mix. Physical difference that it's gonna make in my mix is 0.001% or something like that. It's ridiculously low, and therefore, first of all, nobody's ever going to stream that song one more time because I used a different version of a Pultec on the kick drum. So you can just see how this just doesn't make any sense at all when we're talking about plugins. I hope this was a little bit helpful in kind of thinking through what you actually probably need for a premium plugins, and maybe a helpful way to approach premium plugins in the future as you go forward. I don't want you to get hung up on just buying tons and tons of gear, digital or physical, because it ultimately does not make that much of a difference in your mix. Just a quick recap of why the whole mixing stock versus premium plugin debate is completely nonsensical and stupid. First of all, every DAW has different plugins, so I can't tell you necessarily that you don't need premium plugins to mix your song well. Secondly, you will only use about 1 to 10% of your plugins. Even if you have a ton of them, you're not going to use all of them. If you have the whole 4,000 plugin bundle from Waves, I guarantee you're not going to use 90% of them, if not more. Third, you only need one type of plugin for each type of gear. So again, you don't need multiple Pultec EQ emulations. They're all pretty much the same. Yes, they might have very slight differences, but again, it's not going to make a big difference in the end for you in your mixing. Okay, with that said, thanks for watching. Don't forget to download the Ultimate Mixing Checklist to get better and faster mixes. And I also hope that this was helpful in your thought process around, should I buy premium plugins, and what plugins should I buy if I am going to purchase premium plugins. Okay, if this was at all helpful, don't forget to subscribe, as I release videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to help you get better mixes. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.